Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Command Point. My name's Ryan. Today I'm here with Shane.
Hello.
And
Hello.
today we are going to be talking about our experience at the Kill Team Open. Shane, you had a very good experience coming in second overall. If you want to show the trophy.
I did okay. I did okay.
Yeah, you did pretty all right, I would say.
It was solid.
Short of first place by 1 point.
One tack off, yeah.
By one tack off, yeah. Where do we want to start here?
Let's talk about your run because you did pretty well too.
Yeah.
You went, I think it was 5-2-1.
Yes, I went 5-2-1.
5 wins, 2 losses, 1 draw.
I placed 33 overall, I think.
Yeah, so there was like 90 people. I want to say like 87, 88, 90.
Almost
in that realm.
Almost 100 players.
Yeah, it was a really good showing. It was a great tournament too. It was well run. Shout out to all the organizers and stuff. First and foremost. So first of all, what'd you play?
So I took Intercession. I took Intercession for all of my games. I ran them as methodical and rapid, and that last part really came in clutch in some of my games.
The rapid?
Yes, the rapid.
Yeah, that's the 7-inch movement, yeah.
Yep.
Nice. So, I mean, it's kind of funny because Intercessors are, we kind of anticipated them to be the most taken team, but they were the second most taken team, and the most taken team was the team that I ran.
And Legionnaires.
Yeah, which is not a great matchup for Intercession.
No, it is not.
Did you have to play against Legionnaires?
Yes, I did play a game against Legionnaires, and so I'm very thankful that I was able to prep against you and your Legionnaires leading up to this tournament, because it definitely prepared me for that game, and I was able to take it down.
Well done.
Thank you.
So, I mean, the way it was split, it was day one. There was 4 games. It was all Swiss. And then day 2 was pods broken down into like the top 10 and then the next 10. And it was 4 more games on day 2, but you were in your own pod. So how did day 1 go specifically?
So day 1 for me, it was great. All of my games were great. I had a ton of fun playing. All of my opponents were fantastic. I really couldn't have wished more for a more like a better tournament experience.
Right.
Personally. So day 1, round 1, I'm paired up against our good friend Nick C.
Yeah.
Really tough matchup. He placed highest with the Blooded.
I think he was 5th in the whole tournament.
5th overall. Number 1 Blooded player at this tournament. So that game was live streamed. I went back and tried to watch it, and I was disappointed in that only 11 minutes got recorded.
Yeah, I think they were having some technical difficulties with the stream on day 1.
Yeah.
And they mostly got it fixed on day 2, which is when 3 of my games were streamed.
Yeah.
So unfortunately, your game, there's not a lot of footage of it. My games, it's all there pretty much.
It was a very good game. It was very close right up until the end. It came down to this crazy play that I want to point out. So I had charged my Assault Intercessor Sergeant into one of his models, which was only down to 2 wounds, to kind of like protect it from being shot. For those of you who listened to the Blooded Deep Dive that we did a week or 2 ago, I think with Chris Baki, you'll know that the Blooded have a tactical ploy, I believe, that allows them to shoot into an ongoing combat. At the detriment of if you roll like 1s and 2s, or if you just miss, instead of missing, your friendly model winds up taking damage in the form of mortal wounds, I believe. So he lines up a shot with his sniper, rolls all 1s and 2s, kills the model that I stuck this Assault Intercessor Sergeant in combat with in order to protect it from his shooting. Immediately after that, is able to line up a shot with his Plasma Gunner, and down goes my Assault Intercessor, basically sealing him the game. But yeah, it was an awesome game. It was close.
Yeah, I actually got to play Nick immediately after that game, and we had a 19-19 tie, which was just an awesome game. So I guess like as far as their TAC op selection, like what were you doing most of the time at your games this weekend?
So I think in every single one of my games, I was taking Search and Destroy.
Yeah.
In every single one of the games, I believe I took Eliminate Guard. I took I like bounced around between Assassinate and any sort of like elite matchup. So against the Legionnaires, I took it. I believe I took it in one of my Intercession mirror matches. I took Headhunter in one game. Pretty much like all of the good Search and Destroy Tac Ops I was taking. Oh, and then I was taking either Champion of Humanity, or I was taking Shock Assault, Shock Tactics, Shock and Awe. Yeah.
Yeah, both of those pretty good.
Yes.
Depending on the situation.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, were there any like key models that were like who was your MVP model in the tournament? Would you say?
Oh, I mean, it's probably got to be the Assault Intercessor Sergeant or the Doom Bolter.
The Doom Bolter.
I mean, they do all the heavy lifting on the team.
Yeah.
Both of those models are pretty capable of deleting most of the stuff in this game in just one round of shooting.
Yeah.
Yeah. They were definitely the way to go.
So I guess like what would you say are the main like lessons learned from the run at KTO? Like what were the big takeaways?
Big takeaways for me were any sort of like if you're facing against a team that has like mostly like 8 wounds, 4-up save. I'm specifically talking about like Navis Breachers. Go with the bolt rifles. The Ceaseless is tempting because of that one free reroll if you roll a 1. But the P1, you know, you're rolling 4 dice. If you're using Tac Doctrine or whatever doctrine, you're probably going to get a reroll on that. So the chances of you getting a crit to activate that P1 is pretty good.
On 5 dice, it's like 60-something% chance. It's pretty decent odds you're going to get a 6. Anyway.
Yeah. So I went into this tournament thinking I was going to use Ceaseless the most. I wound up using the bolt rifles the most.
Nice.
And then also taking multiple Vengeance scopes to trigger the lethal 5-up for those regular bolt rifles made my elite matchups a lot easier.
Yeah, I can see that.
Mm-hmm.
So
also assassinate against elite teams. Like I realized, if I'm playing against Intercession or I'm playing against Legionnaires, both of those teams, they need all of their models out in the game active in order to perform. Yeah. So it's like, pick your poison. Who do you want me to target?
Yeah, it's kind of like with elite teams, they really need like all hands on deck.
Yeah.
So like with the assassinate target, it's like you pick one of your guys, and if they die, it's bad for you. But it's like a horde team, they can just pick like a comms who's going to sit back. But an elite team, every one of those guys is eventually, you should be able to like force them to need to use those at some point. So
right.
I like it.
Yeah.
I guess the last thing I wanted to ask you, so like you ran Intercession at KTO, so like what is next for you? Are you going to keep sticking to the Intercessors? Is there another team that you're looking to like pick up from here, or?
I think I'm kind of bored with the Intercession team now.
Okay.
So I think I'm probably going to swap over to something that's a little bit more difficult to run with some more complexity to it. I'm specifically looking at the Hand of the Archon kill team right now. They seem really fun. And they have a wildly different play style than the Intercession kill team, I think.
Nice. Yeah, they seem cool.
Mm-hmm.
I agree. I think a lot of people are. I heard that so many times this weekend.
So many people are excited for Hand of the Archon.
Yeah, a lot of people were like, "Man, if I could only play them this weekend," and I think we would have seen them a lot.
Yeah,
if it was legal.
So, do we want to go over? I think I want to start off first with what were there any models in your roster that you were taking every single game? What were your auto includes?
So, like going in, there are certain models that are not like innately auto includes in my eyes, but I did end up including them every game. It just happened to be that way. But the real auto includes are the. So I was running Legionnaires, and my chaos marks were Slaanesh and Nurgle, mostly Nurgle, and I was looking to use Nurgle as much as possible, and so the Anointed. Nurgle was an auto take for me. The Aspiring Champion was an auto take for me, although his loadout would depend on the matchup, whether or not I gave him a power weapon or a power fist. Yeah. And the I want to say who's the other one? The Shrive Talon was the other auto take. But what would change is whether I would run him Nurgle or Slaanesh, and that was the one Slaanesh guy that I would actually kind of weighed taking. But I never did take him because it was for Gellerpox, and I never played against Gellerpox.
Yeah.
Outside of that, I would always take the Gunner, but it would either be Plasma or Melta. I think I took Melta all but one game, and there was one game, I think it was the final game, I took a Plasma. I did take the Heavy Bolter every game, but he's not like, I don't look at him as an auto-include. I just happened to take him every game. And that was with the Heavy Bolter every single time. Although I do want to mess around with the Chain Cannon a little bit. The Chain Cannon seems interesting to me, and I haven't really run it before. And then the Nurgle Psyker, was there every game, and he was never really gonna leave. So
Mm-hmm.
those are the models I was looking at the most. I really did in my prep games. I ran the Icon Bearer a lot, and I really liked him, but he just never hit the table. And I like the Butcher against like Pathfinders or Vetguard, or like Casterkin or something, and I never ran into any of those teams. So Butcher never came out. But it was always Nurgle. I never ran anything but Nurgle. If I ran into Gellerpox, I would have taken that Shrive Talon, and that's kind of like about it.
Mm-hmm. What TAC ops were you running at this tournament?
So I was also going Seek and Destroy. I actually ended up taking the same 3 every game, which was a mistake. I took Rob and Ransack, Eliminate Guards, and Rout. And I never scored less than 5 on my TAC ops, but there were some matchups where I think I probably should have taken Assassinate Target or something, like against Intercessors. I should have taken that instead of like Rout, I suppose, or Eliminate Guards. And kind of same for Headhunter. There was probably scenarios where I could have taken Headhunter and maxed it.
That's kind of a difficult one, right? Because you have to like anticipate that your opponent's going to bring out their leader turn 2 if you want to max that one.
Yeah, and there's some teams where you can kind of predict that. Like against Corsairs, I killed the leader turn 2. Against Void Dancers, I killed the leader turn 2. Intercessors, I killed the leader turn 2. I think against Talons, I killed the leader turn 2. It was like I was able to get those leader kills, but it was just like I wasn't taking it for some reason. And there's some teams where you can kind of predict it, and some teams where you know they're probably going to want to keep it back.
Yeah.
There was usually like one TAC op I wouldn't be able to max, and the hard part is it wasn't the same one. It was always a different one. Like there was games where I couldn't max Rout, there was games where I couldn't max Eliminate Guards.
Yeah.
There was games where I couldn't max Rob and Ransack, and it was just always a different thing. So it's hard to take away which one gets dropped.
Yeah. I had trouble maxing my TAC ops too.
Yeah, but again, I never scored less than 5 on my TAC ops. It was just a matter of getting to 6, which I think I got to 6 once or twice, I want to say. But in those games, I never maxed total. I never got the max 18, or I guess 20, including painting. Every single game except for one, I got 19 points. And in the game I didn't get 19, I got 16. So
we've already talked about like the models, like your key models. I do want to kind of turn back to the specifically the Slaanesh Shrive Talon and the interaction it has with Gellerpox, because it never came up. But this was something that you were really excited to basically run at this tournament that you just never had the opportunity to.
So partial credit, I got this idea from brainstorming with Ryan Wilfong, who is the Gellerpox player, pretty much in the world, and I talked to him about the matchup, and basically the way it works is the Slaanesh Shrive Talon. So the Shrive Talon innately has an ability called Horrifying Dismemberment, where when he kills a thing in melee, you can pick an enemy operative within 3 inches of him and give them -1 APL. So first of all, this is really good against Gellerpox are probably the team most prone to having -1 APL. Like they get hurt by it more than almost any team because they're pretty much a melee horde for the most part. And if you can stun those Hulks, that's like a huge thing. And on top of that, Slaanesh has a ploy, attack ploy called I want to say it's called Sickening Captivation.
That sounds Slaanesh-y
Could be
enough.
wrong. Where you spend a CP and you pick an enemy operative within 3 inches and you give them -1 APL.
Oh.
So basically the Shrive Talon can like stun 2 guys per turn. And then in general, the Shrive Talon is a really good model against Gellerpox because they're all melee. They run up and fight. He fights first. He can usually, get out of it alive or do a bunch of damage in the process. But if he's like continually stunning things, he's just like crushing the matchup.
Yeah.
But again, I never played against Gellerpox. It just never happened. I was super excited for that. So, oh well.
Yeah. So, what was your toughest matchup at this tournament?
It's tough. I think the game where I had to like dig deepest was probably against Nick on day 1 in the Blooded. It was the 1919 tie, and it was like that game was so back and forth. It was like the first like round and a half, I felt like I was losing, and then I had a big play where I swung it back, and I thought for sure I had it, and Nick would like make some crazy play, and like suddenly I didn't know if I was going to win, and then we ended up tying. I came out of that game very like I knew there's some things I could have done different, but it was just kind of mind blowing how good he was. And I came out of that game like, all right, this is like what the top is going to look like the top level of play that I'm going to see at this tournament. But there was never a game that came close to being as like purely difficult as that one in terms of like the jams he was putting me in and like Nick was just an awesome player. So
Yeah.
I'd say that was probably the toughest. And I just hate the Horde teams. I was really afraid of playing Horde teams at this tournament, and the only Horde I played was Blooded twice.
Oof.
And so that was a tough one.
What was probably your best game? Like your best performance?
Well, that's a tough one. I think the best I played on the whole weekend was probably my game against Mike Cortez, which was on the 4th round of the second day. It was the last game of the tournament. So at the time that I played him, he was the only undefeated player left in the whole tournament, I'm pretty sure. He had gone 7 games with he had a couple ties, but 5 wins or something. And he was just killing it. And I've always said that I don't get tournament fatigue that bad. I tend to play better as the tournament goes on.
Mm-hmm.
So by round 8 on the second day, 8 games in, I felt really good. And I was definitely in a groove at that point. And I knew I felt I had a pretty good matchup against Breachers with Nurgle. And it was just, it happened and we sat down and he was an awesome opponent. Super fun game to play. We were super clear. It was it felt like this is what a competitive game should be of Kill Team. And you can watch the whole game on Kill Team stream. It was the last game of the tournament. And it was just it was a super enjoyable experience. As far as the most one-sided game I played, I played against Layla on day 2 and her dice were just nowhere to be seen. Yeah. She was playing Corsairs and she did the big dive bomb onto my Nurgle guys and on turn 2. And the thing about Corsairs is you do that play and if it goes off, you're in a really good spot.
Yep.
But if you whiff, you're Corsairs and you're kind of done.
Yeah.
And that's what happened. She whiffed and then my models just kind of killed her whole team.
Yeah. That's kind of what happened in my game against 40 ounce too.
Yeah, and again, she really good player, Layla.
Mm-hmm.
But that's the Corsairs. That's the
Corsairs.
That's kind of what happens.
Yeah.
And her dice were
feast or famine.
Very feast or famine. Yeah, for sure.
Were there any other highlights at this tournament that you wanted to talk about?
Honestly, I loved the venue. It was super cool. We stayed at an Airbnb with some of the organizers as well as Battle Brothers Tabletop, Ben, and Glass Half Dead, which was super cool, and Giacomo from Squad Games. So it was very much we had this little content creator trove.
Yeah.
But everybody was super cool. It was super cool to meet Glass, especially because we've known him for so long.
Years.
And on his channel, he interviewed us. He did a short one. So I think on his vlog video, which is out now, you can go see us talk to Glass after day 2, which was a lot of fun. But overall, I think the tournament was a blast.
Yeah.
I had a ton of fun games. It was Orion Wolfong was cooking for us, which was super cool.
So good.
Very, very good.
So good.
And in general, we Baltimore's a cool city. There's stuff to do. It was fun. I had a good time.
Obviously, I feel like we have to talk about Custodes.
Oh, for
at
sure.
This tournament because Custodes wound up taking it down, coming in first.
Yeah, and there was another one in the top 10 too.
That's right. Yeah. So, what was the secret sauce at this tournament in this Into the Dark format that made Custodes so good? So,
I think there's no doubt that Custodes in general are pretty good because the 2 Custodes players, one was, to my understanding, primarily running Seek and Destroy, and the other one was running Recon. So it's definitely in general, Custodes are pretty good on this format. And I do think a lot of it was Into the Dark. I think they probably run into a lot more problems on open board. I'm not prepared to say that they're straight up bad on open board, but it's definitely not the same level.
Yeah.
Right. And for me, the player that took first was running Recon, and I found that the Recon tac ops on Into the Dark were really hard to deny for Talons. Recover item, I think in general, not just for Talons, but for a lot of teams, is probably way too easy. Mm-hmm. It's just there's so much agency, and it's it's just really easy to get onto and max on turn 2. And then the other one was Unexplored Rooms, which is it's the replacement for Vantage on Recon. That tac op is super easy.
So for those who don't know how that works, what are the requirements for scoring Unexplored Rooms?
So basically you have to, at the end of the turning point, if you're controlling a room that is that is not connected to a door in your deployment zone or something, that you have to walk into. then and you have more APL in the room at the end of the turn, you get a victory point. So you don't have to declare which room you're trying to like secure or anything like that.
Oh, okay.
So it's just at the end of the turn, if you're controlling a room that you haven't controlled before
Previously.
then you get it. So it was really, really hard to deny. And then the other one that I saw a lot was Courier, which this one is of the three was the easiest to deny. But like basically what you would do is you'd reveal it at like the start of turn 3, and you just pick one of the Custodes that's has more health or is in like a safer position, and you just make that one your Courier, and you say to your opponent, can you kill a Custodian in 2 turns? And if not, I'm going to get 2 points. If you can kill it in 2 turns, you probably can't kill it in 1, and they're still going to get 1 point on it. At the very least, they just need to get within 6 of your drop zone.
Right.
At the end of the 3rd and 4th turn, effectively. So it was just so hard to deny. A lot of people were saying Seek and Destroy is really easy. I think at least with Seek and Destroy, you kind of have to roll dice.
Yeah, you literally have to like do something other than walk into a room. Yeah,
and it was always like it felt like the recon things, and this is like I think what's it called? Star Striders play this really, really well. Corsairs play this really, really well, but I think Talons were like the one super tanky team that plays it really well. So it's, you can't really like kill them as fast. But like recover item is just like I don't know. It's probably too easy. And it's weird because it feels like in general Seek and Destroy is easier for more teams, but the teams that are capable of doing recon well are just like so good at it.
They're really good at it.
So so in my game against Talons, I found that I had to like, in order to deny unexplored rooms or retrieval or something, I'd have to like forego prioritizing primary, and I was kind of out activated there because they were running the Custodes and the Sisters. So I ended up I lost 16-17 in that game, and I had 1 less point on primary. So it was like.
And on day 2 of that tournament, primary score was tiebreaker.
Yeah, primary was the main tiebreaker. So even if I did get like the 6th tack out point, I would have lost on primary tiebreaker. So it was really tough to keep up with the scoring because they're kind of just moving up the board.
Yeah.
And doing what they're doing anyway, but they're also getting tack ops for being in the spots where they want to be. Which is somewhat similar to Seek and Destroy with like Eliminate Guards, where you're kind of killing the models that are on the objectives. But I think like at the top levels, I was noticing the good players kind of knew to keep their models off of certain spots to prevent me from maxing that. Whereas
and that's relatively easy to do on Into the Dark, where there's a lot of missions where you're not outside of loot, you're not required to be on a point in order to do anything. If you're on it, or if you performed a mission action, you capped it, you can move off it. Yeah, it shuts down Eliminate Guards.
So I mean, I think definitely a big part of it. It wasn't really just Custodes. It was a mix of like what was making them strong was Into the Dark, recon tac ops in my eyes. Them being generically, pretty decent, I think, on the new crit ops, and it was kind of just like the amalgamation of those things. So I do think on a mixed format, you probably don't expect to see Talons
the same results
to win a tournament in the future. But if there's ever like a big giant Into the Dark tournament again, it's very much a possibility.
Okay.
And my game against Talons was so close; it was 16-17, and I think like. It was like a few dice rolls could go different, and I could win that game, and then who knows?
Absolutely.
But it definitely remains that the team is for sure good enough on the format to do really well. So. Yeah.
So we're taking them out of the Shadow Realm on the next tier list.
God, yeah. So it's weird because it's a slippery slope because then you take Talons out, and like, do you just take Talons out? How about every time a Compendium team wins a major, they get to come out of the Shadow Realm?
Right? I like that.
How about that?
You got to prove us wrong.
Yeah, but so until Corsairs or not Corsairs, like Craft World win a major, I'm not taking them out. But I'll take Talons out.
Okay.
But yeah, that's my take on that stuff. I mean, top 10 was pretty interesting in general. We had 2 Blooded, we had 2 Void Dancers, only 1 Legionnaire, which was surprising to me. It was me. 1 Intercession, which was surprising to me. What else was in there? 2 Talons, so that's 7. And then there was no Star Striders or Gellerpox, which was shocking.
Yeah. Those were kind of like those were the matchups that we were concerned about the most going into this tournament. So we were surprised to not see them place in the top 10.
Yeah, they were pretty present in the second pod.
11
through 20. And there's a Corsairs run by Layla. Shout out to her for making top 10 with Corsairs. That's super impressive.
Yeah.
And there's what other team?
Some other team.
Breachers from Mike.
Oh, yes.
Only one Breachers, though, in the top 10.
Yeah.
So that's a thing as well. And there's another team that I cannot remember.
So overall, do you think that Kill Team is in a pretty balanced state right now?
Yeah, honestly.
Looking at the results?
I think so. I mean, I think in like a mixed format, especially, I think the game is probably in the best state it's been in. I think there's definitely some teams at the bottom that need severe help.
Hyrotech Circle.
Maybe Phobos. I don't know though. I think so. Like my next goal after KTO.
Yeah.
Is I'm going to take a little break from Legionnaires. I might bring them to the next tournament I go to. I don't know yet, but I want to take like a trip to kind of like the island of like misfit kill teams and just see if there's any. I want to see if there's any gold to be mined there. I'm going to look at some of the really garbage teams. I'm talking Hyrotech Circle, Phobos. I've seen some people saying like Exaction Squad is bad, so that just makes me want to try them more. But once
the new one that just came out.
Yeah, I've actually heard that from a few people.
I don't believe.
I don't agree. I think they're kind of okay. But yeah, I want to mess with some of the bad teams, see what I can dig out. And then next time a big tournament comes back around, I might pick up the Legionnaires again and go for it once more.
Sure.
But yeah.
Awesome. Well, I mean, I think that about wraps it up. I do just want to say a final thank you to the organizers of this event. It was awesome that we were able to go down there, hang out with you guys. And yeah, it was just an awesome event. Thank you to all my opponents who I faced over the weekend at KTO. I had a great time. Yeah, it was awesome playing with you guys.
Yeah, I'll shout out my opponents as well. So I played Dan Valente, Intercession. And then on round 2, I played against Nick Craven. Round 3, it was Blaine Severson from Six Sided Legion, who has a YouTube channel. Super cool guy. And his teammate from Six Sided Legion, Brett, actually placed like 12th with Castrican.
Oh, that's right.
He's total Chad. And then I played Rami Sherman, who was from Brooklyn Strategist, playing Hunterclade, which was super cool to see. And then on day 2, I played Matt Hurl, who a lot of longtime listeners know of Matt. He was running Void Dancers. It was a fun game on stream. I played the winner of the tournament, James Kelly, who's running Talons that we were talking about. I played Layla Coughing from Brooklyn Strategist. Both the Brooklyn opponents that I played were super cool.
Yeah.
And in my last game, I played Mike Cortez, who was a total sweetheart. Shout out to Mike, awesome guy. So yeah, I mean, I played some great players and had some fun games. So,
well, thank you guys for watching our KTO kind of like recap video. Shane, congratulations on making second.
Thank you.
Yeah, bring that trophy back out one more time.
The trophy.
Oh, look at this.
Ooh, so nice.
So nice.
So nice.
Thank you guys for watching. Thank you guys for subscribing, and a special thank you to all of our supporters over on Patreon and supporting us through the YouTube channel membership program. Without you guys, we couldn't really be able to do what we do and invest all our time and effort into doing this for you guys. But yeah, thanks for watching, and we'll see you again in the next one.